in your videos, especially if you're from Texas. You just have to have Texas and everything because it's literally the best. So this might be a little too much, but who cares? Hey guys, it's Ashley again and welcome back to another video. So I thought I would do a chit chat, get ready with me type of video that I would just sit here, maybe answer some questions about myself so you can get to know me a little better. But I don't really have much to do today. I just thought I would sit in front of a camera, do some makeup, answer some questions about myself for another video. So if you would like, please subscribe down below and just keep watching. So I've already done my brows off camera. I'm not even going to try to mess with that, but I'm going to get started. So I am going to try to talk about some of the things that I'm using. I might not get to it because I'm also going to try to be answering questions about myself, so we'll see how this goes. But I'm going to put on actually two separate primers because I'm one of those. So I have the Wet n Wild matte little primer. It's not very expensive. You can get it at the drugstore, at Walgreens. I like to use this primer because I have very oily skin. It is actually kind of atrocious how oily my skin is. It's bad, especially in the summer. So it doesn't get that bad in the winter, but it still gets kind of bad. So I like to put on a matte primer. But then I also got this e.l.f. Poreless Primer for Christmas. So I've been using this and I actually like how it makes my skin look under makeup. I am a full coverage kind of person. As you can see, I have a lot of skin issues. So I like to cover all of those white spots because I accidentally bleached my face. That could be a story for another video, but I like to use full coverage foundation, and sometimes my texture does not agree with that. So using a primer like this, I feel has really made my skin look better. So I like to use both just to cover both of my issues. So first question, how old am I? I am 23 years old. I will turn 24 next month on February 3rd. So I am an Aquarius. I don't know if that's good or bad, honestly. I'm not very into the astrology, all the signs. I know a few things about my sign, and the few things that I do know are spot on. It's kind of crazy how that works, but so I'm 23 years old. I obviously live in the state of Texas, best state in the union. I couldn't imagine living anywhere else, and if I look over there, I have a mirror over there. I could just use this little one, but I don't want to block my face too much. But I'm using this Master Camo by Maybelline. I have dark circles under my eyes too. This isn't really dark enough. It's not as orange as I would like it to be, but I guess it does the trick, I guess. It could be better. I might need to get an LA Girl one because those are really good and they're way cheaper than this one. But I was in a bind, so I just grabbed this one and it's pretty alright. It doesn't dry out my under eyes because that's the one part of my face that's actually not oily, unfortunately. So I use that one as well. But I love the state of Texas. Couldn't imagine living anywhere else. I think that is really the greatest state in the union. All of the memes and the stereotypes that you hear about Texas people thinking that they're the bee's knees, it's true. We really do think we're the bee's knees. So there's that one. So a nickname that only my family has called me, and by the way, I looked up these questions online. I'll put a link in there below if you want to look at those questions yourself. I did add some of my own, and I took away some of the questions that they had as well because they didn't really pertain to me, but I will put that in the description. But I have a few. So I have an older sister, and that girl, she does whatever she wants. So she has called me every single weird nickname you could possibly imagine. So a few of them, and I don't know, she might kill me. She might think it's hilarious. But she calls me Chep a lot. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. I don't know what Chep means. But she calls me Chep. She also calls me Bob. I don't know. Because she can. Because regardless of if I want her to or not, she's going to do whatever she wants. Because that's just who she is. Her name's Jess. Well, Jessica. I call her Jess. And she is amazing. She's the best big sister ever that literally anyone could ever have. So don't at me, because I will prove you wrong, because she's literally the greatest. So I just kind of allow her to call me that, even though I have no idea where it came from, why she calls me that. She also, because my name is Ashley, she calls me Ash Hole sometimes. I mean, it really is just what it is. It's funny. I think it's hilarious. Nobody else really understands it. And she'll call me that in public too sometimes. And they'll just be like, wait, like, who is she talking to? And some people think that my name's actually Bob or Chep. But it's not. But those are a few of the nicknames that she's called me. I'm just using a brush to spread that around. I actually use the Clinique Beyond Perfecting foundation. I feel like this foundation is just, it's one of the better foundations that I've tried this past year. I've tried the, which one was that? It was way more expensive than this one, and I felt like it was so orange. That's a problem that I've been having, is that I used to use drugstore foundations. All of those in my shade have been discontinued. Like, so it's really, I don't have a choice. I have to use some of the more expensive things, because if I don't, I would just have to walk around barefaced. Because they stopped carrying my shades and almost everything. There was 2 back to back, and it was the saddest thing ever, because I lost it and I thought the world was over. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be ugly for the rest of my life. Like, that was my everything. That was the best foundation ever, and it was super cheap and affordable. It was actually the number 7 foundation that they had, and they stopped carrying my shade in Chestnut. So if you want to write a strongly worded letter to them, please do, because I'm still a little upset about that. But I found another one, and I believe it was a CoverGirl one, and literally they discontinued the entire line. So it wasn't just my shade, so it wasn't like super offensive, I guess, but it was still a little hurtful that all of the drugstore foundations that I liked and worked well with my oily skin just got discontinued. So I'm using the Clinique one. I think it's really good. I doubt that they will that's another reason why I chose it. I feel very strongly that they won't discontinue my shades. They've always been really good with shade ranges, so I feel pretty confident that I will be able to get this forever, hopefully. I probably should knock on wood so I don't jinx myself. I'll do that later. But anyways, so a weird habit of mine. So I don't do this as much anymore, just because I started feeling a little self-conscious about it, and people made me feel like I was the weirdest human being in the world for doing this. I'm going to use the Pro-Glow Infallible Concealer on top of that orange, just because, once again, my under eyes are pretty dry, so I have to use a kind of glowy moisturizing concealer on here. But I like to peel things. So people would, like, maybe when they were younger, they would usually like bite their nails or something like that. No, I would peel my nails. So I would like rip them off. I had the worst nails growing up. I mean, there was really no fixing it. I was a hot mess. Like, I'm a very, very neurotic person. I stress out about everything. I overthink everything. Is that an Aquarius trait? Probably. But I could not deal, and so I would just peel my nails. And then it got to the point where it wasn't even like if I was like worried or anything, I would just do it because I was bored and there was nothing else to do, so I would just peel my nails. So I've been trying to fix that. My nails are still really, really short, and it's probably going to be that way for a really long time. But I've stopped doing that so much. I still get the urges a couple of times, but I don't do that so much anymore because people made me feel really weird about it, so I don't really do that anymore. The Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define, I also use this. It's a foundation, but I use it as a concealer too because I'm a full coverage person. I love full coverage. So I also put this under my under eyes too, just because my dark circles are something else sometimes. So I have to add that extra coverage because the other concealer, I don't think covers enough. So I do have to put this on as well. But, so there's that one. And then, do I have any weird phobias? Honestly, no. I mean, I have things that make me like cringe, but not any phobias. Like, I'm not really super afraid of bugs. Like, if they're around, I'm not gonna mess with them. I don't like bugs, but I don't like lose sleep over any of that stuff. So I'm not really a scary person. I try to stay away from scary things or things that will make me too scared because I'm a big old baby, which sucks because the family that I have, they love scary things. And I just won't, I will not do it. I cannot do it. So anytime they're like, oh, it's Halloween, let's go to a haunted corn maze or let's go watch a movie, I'm like, no. So leave me out of it. I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. And so I often get left behind with things like that just because I don't want to develop any phobias. I have enough things to worry about as it is. So I just kind of stay away from things that might make me develop anything like that. So really, I don't have any phobias. I have things that make me cringe just like everybody else, but not really a phobia per se. So yeah. So what is a song you secretly love to blast when you are alone? Recently, I watched Bohemian Rhapsody and rediscovered my love for Queen because I did like Queen, but I really only knew Bohemian Rhapsody and like a couple of their songs. I wasn't like truly 110 obsessed, but Somebody to Love by Queen. There is just something about that song. I love that song and I don't listen, and I know everybody else loves it too. I know a ton of people love it, but I never listen to it around anybody else because I feel like it's just a song, like it's just me and that song. I'm a very weird person, but it really is one of those songs where it's like I will only blast it and only listen to it if I'm by myself. So if you don't remember that song or you've never heard of that song, some kids might not even know who Queen is or Freddie Mercury, R.I.P. dude, but it is such a good song. I love that song, and Bohemian Rhapsody is a classic. I mean, come on, like, but that song specifically, Somebody to Love, is my favorite song to blast when I'm by myself. What is one of my biggest pet peeves? Whenever I talk about my pet peeves, my blood just boils. It just goes sky high, and I can feel it. I can feel it. Okay, so I kind of talked about this a little bit on my Instagram. I will link that down below as well as my Twitter. But whenever this past holiday season, I decided instead of having my orders shipped to my home, because I did all of my Christmas shopping online, I decided instead of having it shipped to my home, I would have it shipped to store so that things don't get stolen, because that's something that people do. It's a sad, sad world that we live in, and I didn't want any of my stuff to get stolen. So I decided to ship to store. And whenever I had to go pick those things up, it was like the last week leading up into Christmas. So granted, probably could have planned better to avoid this, but every single line I stood in to just get my order and leave, there was somebody standing no less than 2 inches away from me. and I love my personal space. I don't like the feeling, I'm a little claustrophobic maybe, but I don't like the feeling of people like right on my back. And I couldn't even take a mini step backwards without stepping into somebody. It was like I was in line and the other person was on top of me in line. And it's like, this store is not that packed. You can take a step back. Nobody's gonna cut you. I promise. I will make sure that nobody cuts you and that you keep your spot in line, but you can like take a couple steps back, please. Like, please. I had such bad anxiety. I was shaking afterwards because I was like, everybody is so close to me. Don't step in somebody else's personal space. Like, we all have our own little bubbles. Mine might be a little bit bigger than most, but it was just like crazy to me how closely people were standing in line. It's like, this is not Black Friday. Maybe Black Friday I would understand, and that's why I don't go Black Friday shopping, to avoid that. But oh my goodness, I cannot stand it when somebody is just right on top of me. Like, it really grinds my gears. I cannot stand it. And if you are one of those people that feels like you have to stand directly, like literally on their heels in line, please stop. Because you don't need to do it. It's not necessary. You don't have to do it. And I will go to bat for you. If somebody tries to cut you in line, I will make sure, as long as my personal space is respected, I will make sure that nobody cuts you in line. I will personally see to it. If I have to fight for your spot in line, I will, as long as you don't step in my personal space. So that is one of my bigger pet peeves that I have. What is one of your nervous habits? So I kind of already talked about this a little bit. So I used to rip my nails off whenever I was little, trying to fix that still. But now I'm like the weirdest person ever. I don't know why I'm doing this. I use the Airspun coating powder to set my face, but I have to hit this. This one's a little defective. Got it? But whenever I'm deep in thought or I'm nervous or I'm stressed or anything now, I make a fishy face. So I will sit there and I'll be in the middle of class, I'll be driving down the road, like literally anywhere, and I don't even like know that I'm doing this until somebody points it out. Like, apparently I do it a lot and I just don't know, but I will sit there and I'll just do, why does that make me feel better? I don't know. I guess I just like biting the insides of my cheeks or something. I don't know what it is, but I look silly. I know I look silly, and I have no way to stop this because I don't realize that I'm doing it. So I'm just out in public looking like a fish. I mean, if that's the way I have to cope, then I guess that's the way I have to cope. But I really wish I didn't cope that way because I know I look like a crazy person. Don't know what happened there. My camera just stopped recording. But, so yeah, I just like to make a fishy face whenever I am in deep thought, whenever I'm nervous, whenever I'm stressed. I just sit there and make a fishy face, and somehow the world keeps spinning and everything gets better. I guess if that's what works for me, then that's what works for me. So yeah, if you ever see me out in the real world and I'm making a fishy face, just know I'm okay. I'm not going crazy, even though it probably looks like I am. I'm not going crazy. I'm just really stressed. So, I'm also going to use this to bake my face a little bit. I probably shouldn't have worn a white sweatshirt, but I had to rep Texas. I mean, you just can't not rep Texas in your videos, especially if you're from Texas. You just have to have Texas in everything because it's literally the best. So this might be a little too much, but who cares? I'll wipe off. It's fine. So I am going to use I'll probably just use one palette today since I'm not really doing anything. Let's not be extra. So I have this Tarte palette. It's the Clay Play palette. I don't think anybody talks about this anymore, but this is literally, ever since I got this, and I got it on sale, it was $18, and I was just like, best day ever, because I have used this palette every single day since. I've actually like hit pan on this one, and excuse the palette, it's a hot mess, it's a disaster, but I've hit pan on 2 of them. They're my most used shades, and there's a reason, because I'm gonna go use that shade again. It is like the perfect tan on the days that I don't really want to wear eyeshadow. Like today, I'm not doing anything, I'm not really going anywhere, I don't really have anybody to impress. I just throw this shade on, and it's like the perfect match to my skin tone. So it keeps that concealer from creasing and everything, but it also adds just a little something there. So it's not just my eyelid. Gotta be a little extra. And this is probably why I hit pan, because I pack it on there. I do not want any creasing, because my eyelids are also super oily. That might be the most oily part of my face. I don't even know why or how, but sometimes if I do not pack on the eyeshadow, my lids will crease and I just look sad. Especially since it takes me so long to get ready in the morning just to have creasy eyelids halfway through the day. Like, it's just not right. I have to make sure that if I'm gonna be late to work, it's for a reason, you know? Sometimes I'll also go into this shade just to brighten up the lid a little bit, which I'm gonna do that today. I haven't hit pan on that just yet, but I probably will. I really love this palette. Some people don't really like Tarte eyeshadows, and I understand that, because some of their eyeshadows I don't like either, but this one is great. So, dogs or cats? I say both. Why not both? There's been such hatred towards cats, and I get it, because I used to live with my sister, and she has 2 cats and now a dog, but when we got her second cat, the first cat, little boy, Blue, he was the sweetest, gentlest, kindest cat you could probably ever find in your life. Like, he was literally the best boy, the best cat I've ever met. He was so sweet, so kind. Did he tear things up? Yes. But, I mean, just the sweetest cat. I never had a problem with him whatsoever. He was just an angel. We got the second cat to get him a little friend, because, you know, if we work full time, we can't be there all the time. We didn't want him to be lonely. So we got him a little friend. And this cat, oh my goodness, she is like the weirdest cat. Like, she does not want to be touched. She could not be more polar opposite than Blue. Blue will cry if you're not carrying him around the house. He really loves just sitting on your shoulder and just being carried around the house. If you try to touch Charlie, she is darting out of the room as fast as she can. She cannot get away from you fast enough. She does not like people in that way. The only time that she really likes any sort of attention, which is also really weird of her, is if you are sitting on the couch and your head is laid back, she will come and she will rub her face against your hair. That's the only part of you she cares about. Anything else? No. You try to touch her, she's gone. She just wants your hair. So, I mean, it kind of just depends on the personality of the cat. Now that we kind of got acclimated to her and we know what she likes and what she doesn't like, perfectly fine. She's also really sweet. Don't really have much problems with her. But cats are great. You just gotta know how to work with them. Dogs, amazing. I have a dog. Her name's Nova. She's a Great Dane. You might meet her later, but not right now, because if she is kind of a freak. She gets super excited, and she's so big. She doesn't know her own size, obviously, because what Great Dane does. So she always wants to sit in my lap and stuff, and I would never get filming done. So, you might meet her later. She's a sweetheart. Love her. Love dogs. Love cats. I mean, love all animals. What is your favorite comfort food? What isn't? I am not the healthiest person, which needs to change in 2020. That is one of my goals. I need to lose weight because I have gained a ton and I've noticed a change, and I just want to be healthier and take care of myself better. But I love cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers and french fries and, oh my gosh, pasta. I could eat pasta by the bucket loads. Like, I love pasta so much. But if I had to choose, I would say a cheeseburger. You really cannot go wrong with cheeseburgers. I get that pretty much anytime you go out to eat. It's just the greatest thing. So yeah, whenever I'm feeling sad or I get bad news, I go get a cheeseburger. And that's what I do. So, favorite superhero. This might also be a little controversial, but Iron Man. Iron Man is the best superhero, hands down, in any universe. Marvel, DC, I don't care. He is the best superhero you will ever find. I think everyone overhypes Captain America because he's supposed to be like Captain America, like, ooh, he's our American, the first Avenger, he's the soldier, blah, blah, blah. Everybody forgets that he was a traitor. He's a traitor. You can fight me on this until my dying day, but he was literally a traitor. He turned his back on everyone for a Russian. Granted, Bucky was his friend, you know, the Winter Soldier, that was his friend back in the day, and he loves him and he doesn't want him dead, blah, blah, blah. But homeboy was literally killing people, and you protected him. You turned your back on everyone else. I mean, and I believe if the roles were reversed and Tony had a friend who was going around killing people, Captain America would have been the first person to lead the crusade to stop them and to put that person down. But since Captain wants to do it, it's okay. No. He was trash. He was the worst Avenger, honestly. In my opinion, he was one of the worst because he just turned his back on everybody for a friend who didn't even remember him and was going around killing people. But that's just what I believe. So, single or taken, if you haven't seen, I like to talk with my hands a lot, so you probably already saw. I am married. I actually married my high school sweetheart, and we got married at the ripe old age of 20. He was actually in the Marine Corps, and so most of our relationship he was away, but in the middle of that we decided to get married, and we've been married ever since. He's one of my best friends. I don't regret that decision at all. I know a lot of people have their own opinions over getting married early. You're going to be missing out. You're going to be doing this or that. I don't believe that. I think once you find your person, you know more than anybody else. So everybody else can talk, but you know yourself. You know if you'll feel like you're missing out or whatever. So I am really happy with the decision that I made. And I am happily married, yeah. Been married for going on, that was like highlighter. What just happened? Yikes. Been married for going on 4 years now. So yeah, if you want a more in-depth little story about how we got together, because it's actually really, really funny. I was the worst in high school. I have no idea what he saw in me, but I was the absolute worst. But he still fell for me anyways. Sucker. So I can do a little story time about how we met, how we got together, how the long distance, give some tips on that, because literally a majority of our relationship was long distance, and that kind of sucks. But I can give you some tips on that. This is basically it. I don't use setting spray. I used to, but then I stopped doing it and nothing's changed. So that is it for this video. Once again, if you would like, please subscribe down below if you are also going through grad school, or if you have different answers to the questions that I answered. Put those down below as well. I want to know what's your nickname that your family calls you, or what's one of your pet peeves. Like, let's have a conversation down below. So If you don't mind, please subscribe, and I hope to see you soon.